I never imagined I'd see and experience the world go through a pandemic. On the same note, I never imagined that I'd see a Harley-Davidson produce a full-on bona fide adventure bike. Truly, anything can happen.
Squint your eyes and look closer. I'm not between you and your ambition. I am a poster girl with no poster. I am 32 flavors and then some, and I'm beyond your peripheral vision. So you might wanna turn your head, 'cause one day you might find you were hungry and eating most of the words you just said. My parents have taught me about goodwill, and I have done right by their name. Just the kindness they lavished on strangers is more than I can explain. Still there are many who turned out their porch lights so that I would think they were not home and hid in the dark.
This is my third time to visit the world-famous headquarters of Harley-Davidson in Milwaukee. First was for the Harley-Davidson Sportster Roadster 1200.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Second was for their 115th anniversary.
And God help you if you're an ugly girl.
The town was very different this time around. It felt like I was in a ghost town. Talk about timing, huh? Releasing an adventure bike at a time when adventure riding is taking a back seat by a company best known for their cruisers, baggers, and bobbers. Harley-Davidson is, of course, a big enough brand to take seriously with such an announcement. I am 100% sure the German, Italian, British, Japanese, and Austrian adventure manufacturers sat up and stopped looking at each other and were caught by surprise and said what I did when I found out, and that is, huh? Now if you think about it, the very essence of Harley-Davidson is to go out there and have an adventure. On road, that is. So if you ask me, yes, they have every right to jump into this segment and rattle everybody. But did they get away with a technical aspect? Well, that's what we're trying to find out.
Ever had heart wouldn't turn around and break it. And anyone who's ever played a part wouldn't turn around and hate it. Sweet Jane, sweet.
There were two Pan Americas. One is called the Pan America 1250, and the other is called the Pan America 1250 Special. I will draw your attention to the all-new Revolution Max 1250 engine, capable of spewing out 150 horses and 94 feet-pounds of torque through a liquid-cooled V-twin. Just as Harley claimed, this engine does have a broad power band, with a lot of smooth, buttery low-end torque alongside a very useful low-speed throttle control for your tumble in the rough. The Pan America weighs in at 534 pounds, not bad for its category. The new Revolution Max engine serves as an integral part of the chassis. The drivetrain is chain-driven, important because one can have belt failure with belt drive out in rough roads. With a brand like Harley-Davidson, and because of their releases and persona through the decades, one would understandably assume a no-nonsense bike devoid of techie frills. That notion stops with the Pan America. Clearly, they are up to par with their contemporaries with electronically controlled ride modes and cornering rider safety tech. There is enough tech here to run side by side with the bike's performance in terms of traction from braking, deceleration, and taking off. Alright, we are in Harley-Davidson factory headquarters. And if you recall, we were here 2 years ago or something like that. So anyway, just to be clear, we're going to start off with a tank. Now, a lot of you guys may think, because we're talking about adventure touring bike, that this may be plastic. It's not. This is metal. It is an aluminum tank. Check out those awesome welds over there. Aluminum tank, nice and light. Good job, Harley-Davidson, on that one. Because when I first looked at it from afar, I thought, nah, that's probably plastic, because they want to keep it light, being an adventure tour, but no. We're gonna stick to our guns. Now for the seat, I must say, amongst all the adventure bikes that I have ridden, amongst all of them, I would say this is a pretty comfortable seat. If I may already mention, the GS seat is one of the best seats out there. And I'd say this is gonna give that seat a run for its money, because I'm telling you right now, this is a very, very comfortable seat. And you can already tell that you can last a long time on the road with this. Pillion seat is also nice and generous in terms of the foam. Look at how that thing just goes down there. So seat is a check. Fantastic, good job. So another thing, of course, Harley-Davidson, what they opted not to hide is the engine. You know, you want to show that off. Some adventure bikes, they just cover everything up with plastic. They're showing off the engine. It's not going to be as loud as the other Harleys, but it's still loud and proud, at least for me. In terms of the detail and workmanship, it's good. Very tight welds here. Construction-wise and how it was manufactured is really, really good. I mean, I can't expect anything less. So interestingly enough, for an adventure touring bike, what I think that I appreciate, you know, I always nitpick mirrors. So what I appreciate about Harley-Davidson is it's sticking to this shape in line with how it all looks, especially the headlight. It's classic looking at the same time. I don't know how to place it, but it's not a bad thing. You'll be hard pressed to find, you know, aftermarket adventure mirrors that's square. Everybody is round. If you put round mirrors here, it's just not gonna look nice, in my opinion. It's got to be this shape, and I think they pulled it off in terms of the look with the whole bike. Paint job on this one. You can tell it's not one of those thinly sprayed paint. It's nice and thick with good detail on the reflections. So for colors, we got 4. They have one in green, which is called Deadwood Green. Black is black. I like the name Gauntlet Gray. This is Baja Orange and Stonewash White, as you can see. This one you can also adjust on the fly. A notch over there, a little trigger. Put it down, and that thing goes up. It's locked, goes up. Want it a bit lower, just adjust like so. This gets a lot of the wind out of your head. I wonder if you can adjust it midway release. Oh, you can. Hey, brilliant. So the position is anywhere from down there to up there. So they have this thing called ARH, Adaptive Ride Height. So basically this bike is speaking to a bigger market in that sense, in terms of height, because a lot of the problems with adventure bikes is if it's too tall, it's kind of intimidating. You're starting, you're getting on it, and then you're tiptoeing all the time. So what this does is at the start of the ride, it's gonna compress the suspension, so it's gonna go lower, thus making it easier for you to, you know, plant yourself on the ground before you take off. And as you take off, it's gonna go back to its original suspension height, complete with everything. I mean, the travel, the play with the suspension and all of that. If you are a tall person and you don't need that, then you can adjust it and just keep it high all the time. If you're shorter, the Pan Am will make sure that you're not gonna miss out on this bike because there's no excuse. It's gonna be lower as you take off. So that's brilliant, and I believe it is an industry first. Harley-Davidson thought of it, nobody else at this point. So you can expect, I guess, some other brands might hop into that idea because I think it's a brilliant idea. And the seat itself has options.
So basically, these 2 little notches can raise or lower the seat by 1 inch. So this was the low position it was in. Where you can see this rib kind of showing here, showing in the low position. Or I can set it in the high position.
Oh, nice.
And then I have an extra inch of seat to foot peg length. Yeah, it's very easy. And then there's also 3 different seats. You have the stock seat, then there's a tall boy seat that's an extra inch taller, and then there's a reach seat that's an inch lower. So you can tailor it to your fit.
So again, it is for everybody. You're talking about taller Europeans, shorter Asians, and so on. Going back to the chassis, the powertrain can take a lot of stress because it is integrated into the structure. We don't have a traditional frame here. Now check this out. The front, mid, and tail section are bolted directly to the powertrain. Cool, huh? Because of this, you get to shed weight, have an overall stiffer bike, and get better handling. The wheelbase is at 62.2 inches, numbers touring bikes like. Wheels are 19s out front and 17s at the rear. They got options for the wheels as well. You can turn this into spoked wheels. They're sticking to 19s and that's it. But if you want it to be bigger than that, you gotta figure out how to modify that in a way. But for now, it's 19s and spokes are gonna be an option for that. We got Primo radial Brembo brakes with 4-piston calipers. Suspension is by Showa. TFT display is as good as any out there. Easy to figure out and very intuitive. It uses non-reflective glass, which makes it very easy to read. Check that guy out. Side stand down, warning, good. Got safety going on there. These are the controls, pretty much straight up, down for the volume, left, right, play, pause. Let me get on it, take out the side stand. And there we go. So cruise control, which I tried a while back, that was pretty nifty. It was kind of getting cold. We have heated grips here, but I didn't use them. So my hands were getting a bit stiff in the highway, so cruise control was cool. For my right hand, I was able to, move it about and not compromise my speed. So going through the TFT display, you got your temperature, range, 111 miles left before you gotta gas up. Trip A, trip B, there's your odometer. Pressing this is basically our menu. Well, let's go to settings. So you got general, ride customization, appearance, Bluetooth, phone notifications, and your software. So it's not complicated at all. It's nice and simple the way it should be. Let's go to ride customization. So you got your ride modes if you want to tweak that. And yep, you guessed it. It's got a free Harley-Davidson app for navigation.
You can mirror your phone's navigation onto the screen, and you can play your music, and you can do voice commands as well as make phone calls and those kinds of things.
I expected nothing less. The Pan America is Euro 5 compliant. The catalyst converter is snug right next to the engine like a little baby set in her mother's bosom. This takes the heat away from the rider and minimizes excess weight due to its location and size.
Everything is good and brown. Say I'm here again with a sunshine smile upon my face.
This just goes on and on and on. A lot of the accidents out there happen in corners when one can get carried away, especially after hours and hours of riding. The Pan America has cornering enhanced electronically linked braking, cornering enhanced anti-lock braking system, cornering enhanced traction control, cornering enhanced drag torque slip control system, and a hill hold control. Now, if you're having a nosebleed at this point, it's basically ABS, traction control, and hill hold control that can be achieved while at an angle, or cornering ABS and cornering traction control, basically. Modes, you say? Of course. Although I never really bothered with them, we were on road mostly and I was on sport mode all the way. The bike has road, sport, rain, off-road, and off-road plus. Simply put, each mode has its own set of power delivery and braking settings. Harley-Davidson so far has done their homework well. Okay, the brakes. It's not often that you get to a private parking lot all to yourself to test brakes. Try the rear. Yeah, ABS. Good stopping power. Now what I did notice with the Pan Am is the fact that there is some heft to it. The power to weight ratio, I would say, would veer more a bit on the heavier side, but that gives out a lot more stability. If you have too much power against the weight, then you lose out on stability. It's going to be less of you can't manage it as much. This one is dead center stable. Okay, front. Good. A little bit faster now. Rear. I'm slamming on the rear there. We're making the ABS work with the rear, so let's now try the front one more time. I can't seem to make the ABS out front work, which is a good thing, meaning I'm stopping nice and well without the front skidding. The brakes are pretty good, it's stopping properly. But of course I want to try to make the front ABS work faster this time. There, made it work. Stopping power from the front, pretty good. Let's try both. Okay, wow. Big bike, good stopping power. Can't say enough about it, except good job.
return of the space cowboy, interplanetary good vibe zone. See at the speed of Chiba, oh, you and I go deeper.
Riding the Pan America feels right. Can it go toe-to-toe with the other adventure bikes out there? In terms of grunt and taking off, others will outperform this, but with everything else from suspension, comfort, stability, technology, the Pan America can hold its own and then some. This bike is right where it's supposed to be, right where Harley-Davidson positioned it, in the minds of every adventure rider for consideration. You would have to be an absolutely close-minded person not to sit up and seriously take a closer look at the Pan America as an adventure tourer. Yes, people have mixed feelings on it, but that's why the Pan America is standing out. It looks so different from other adventure bikes out there. And if I may offer my 2 cents here, if Harley-Davidson could squeeze in just a bit more power and torque, I think it's gonna be even more of a killer. The Pan America is a statement from one of the most respected motorcycle brands on this planet. This is Harley-Davidson saying, hey, let's go on an adventure. The Harley way. Bravo, Harley-Davidson. This is Zach from Makinamoto Features. Ciao.